right. Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive.
Another deep dive.
This time we're tackling Poetry Slam.
Poetry Slam.
And, you sent us this source material that was pretty interesting about really like conquering the stage,
Right.
dominating Poetry Slam.
Owning it.
Yeah. And the thing is, it even brought in Charles Dickens somehow.
Charles Dickens, right. Like what?
Yeah.
What's the connection there?
For Poetry Slam.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It's an interesting comparison, for sure.
So let's figure this out.
Okay, so right away.
Right.
The piece kind of jumps into this whole thing about Dickens and like
Yeah.
his obsession with London's underbelly,
Yeah.
The dark side of things.
Yeah.
His trips to the morgues, all of that.
Like, so we're saying
Yeah.
aspiring slam poets should be like
well,
hanging out at the morgue on Saturday night.
I wouldn't go that far, but
Oh.
it's interesting.
Well,
Think about it this way. The piece is kind of using Dickens as this lens
no.
to understand the darker aspects of human nature.
the darker aspects of human nature. Okay, so
You can have that.
it's not about like literally going to the morgue,
Right.
but it's about understanding the kind of what makes people tick.
What makes people tick, yeah, and like the deeper
Yeah.
kind of emotional undercurrents that drive us.
All right, I'm starting to see a little bit of the connection,
Okay.
but they go even further than that.
Well, they do.
I mean, they're calling Poetry Slam
They get
a
intense.
form of like psychological warfare. Now,
Yeah.
is this a little too much?
It's strong language.
Should it be like worried?
I wouldn't be worried about going to a poetry slam. Okay. But I think what they're trying to get at is this idea that successful slam poets,
Yeah.
they have to think strategically about their performance.
Okay.
It's not just about the words themselves. It's about, building tension,
Mm-hmm.
playing with expectations, and ultimately, kind of controlling the audience's experience.
It's funny you say that because I'm thinking about like stand-up comedians
Right.
do that all the time.
All the time.
They'll set you up for one thing and then bam, a totally different
Totally.
direction.
That unexpected punchline, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's part of what makes it memorable.
Right. Okay.
So I think the source is kind of saying
Yeah.
slam poets can use similar techniques to
bet
really
they-
engage the audience.
They also say
Yeah.
poets should view their audience as future morgue patients.
That's where it gets a little...
Yeah, isn't that a little extreme?
It is a little morbid. but
For this,
I'll give you that.
it's pretty out there.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's meant literally.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
It's more about urging poets
Okay.
to recognize the weight of their words.
The fleeting nature of life.
Yeah.
This shared human experience.
So maybe not about being morbid,
Right.
but about making every moment. Gallant.
So every performance counts.
Because you never know, right?
Yeah, you never know.
Your time's up.
Exactly.
A little dramatic, but
It is a little dramatic,
I get it.
but it makes the point.
Yeah.
I think the source is really emphasizing
Yeah.
that every performance is an opportunity to connect with the audience on a deeper level.
All right, so let's get into some specifics here.
Okay, let's do it.
The source highlights this technique called reversed expectations.
Reverse expectations. Uh-huh.
And they even use this example about a poet on stage
Oh, yeah.
who pretends to have lost their keys.
Like they're looking around.
Yeah, and at first it's kind of funny.
You think it's going to be a joke, right?
But then they hit you with this line, like, and with them, the way home.
Oh, wow.
And suddenly it's not funny anymore.
Not so lighthearted anymore.
Yeah.
That's a great example of reversed expectations. You start with something relatable.
Yeah.
Almost comedic.
Like everybody's lost their keys.
We've all been there.
At some point.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And then suddenly
And then they shift it.
they shift the context.
Bam.
Yeah.
And you've got this layer of vulnerability and loss.
So it's like setting up a joke.
It's like that rug pull,
Yeah.
but it makes you think.
But in a way that makes you think.
Right, exactly.
Right.
It's subverting those expectations to get a deeper impact.
Yeah.
So those lost keys,
Yeah.
they're not just keys anymore. They become this metaphor
Right. Yeah.
for being lost in life.
Yeah. And that
And it makes you rethink.
unexpected twist
Yeah,
makes you rethink the whole situation.
exactly.
And that reminds me of that scene in The Sixth Sense.
Oh, yeah.
You think you've got it figured out. And
Look, love it. Street. Right. Mind blown. It's all about that, like, unexpected turn.
Absolutely. And that's a technique
Yeah.
that's used everywhere,
Yeah.
from film to literature,
Yeah.
even stand-up comedy.
It's about using that surprise
Yeah.
to make the audience.
To make them think, to make them feel, to engage on a deeper level.
So basically the source is saying, like, this is like
Kind of like a secret weapon.
the secret weapon for slam poets.
Yeah.
Right, this reversed expectations.
I think so. I think they present it that way.
Yeah.
This way to keep the audience hooked.
Yeah, like control the audience.
Yeah.
Keep them on their toes.
Keep them guessing. Keep them on the edge of their seats. What's coming next?
Isn't that manipulate?
But that's the question.
Right.
Is it okay?
For poets.
Right.
Or any artist, for that matter.
Right.
To toy with the audience's emotions. Like that.
I mean, that's a question.
That's been debated for centuries.
Right. Where do we draw the line?
Right. Some would argue that any art involves some degree of manipulation.
Right.
You're trying to shape the experience.
You're trying to evoke emotions.
Yeah, you're evoking emotions.
Right.
You're guiding them towards an understanding. But others would say there's a difference between, you know, skillful storytelling and just like outright emotional exploitation.
So they're not explicitly saying, like, go manipulate.
No, they're not saying that.
But they're definitely, like, pushing those boundaries.
They're pushing the boundaries for sure.
Of what's acceptable.
It makes you think about
It does.
the ethics of it all.
Yeah, is it okay to use these, like, psychological warfare tactics to create a powerful piece of art?
Right.
That's what they're suggesting, right?
Is that crossing the line?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a tough question. And I think it depends on the artist's intentions and the techniques they use. It's something to think about.
It is something to think about.
As you experience art.
Yeah.
Including poetry slam.
We've definitely given me a lot to think about.
Yeah.
We've gone from Dickens to Morgs
to psychological warfare.
and the ethics of manipulating an audience.
The ethics of it all, yeah.
And this is all from like one source.
I know, it's amazing.
On Poetry Slam.
It's fascinating.
Who knew it could get so deep?
This is just the beginning
Yeah.
of our deep dive.
Okay.
There's more to uncover.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay.
I'm actually starting to get a little invested in this whole Poetry Slam thing.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe there's a slam poet lurking inside me somewhere.
Maybe. You never know.
Oh.
You know, they do have a flair for the dramatic.
Yeah.
This source.
A little bit.
I mean, they're not just, you know, suggesting these techniques. They're selling them.
They are. It's like a late night infomercial.
It's like they took Dickens, added a dash of Machiavelli.
Right, exactly.
And then, like, sprinkled in some...
A little bit of showmanship. You know?
Yeah. And speaking of showmanship...
Yeah.
They're really pushing this book.
They are.
Poetry Master.
Poetry Master.
Is this like the Slam Poetry Bible?
I don't know about the Bible, but it is interesting.
Yeah.
You know, this whole self-improvement thing for artists.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Everyone wants to be the next big thing.
Unlock their inner creative genius.
Right.
Unlock that potential.
And find that shortcut.
But is there a shortcut?
What?
I mean, is that's
the question.
Sacrificing authenticity for the sake of like following some formula?
Can you be a true artist?
Yeah.
And still plan every move?
Right.
For maximum impact.
Like walking a tightrope.
It's like a tightrope walk. Yeah. So are they saying that slam poetry is less about like genuine expression?
I wouldn't say that.
And more about just like...
I think they're presenting a certain perspective.
Okay.
Right? One that's really focused on performance and impact. So it's highlighting those techniques.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean authenticity is not important.
Right.
I think the best slam poets find a way to balance both.
So it's not about like being a puppet master. It's about finding that...
It's about finding that sweet spot. Where your genuine voice meets that skillful delivery.
Right. And you're connecting with the audience.
Connecting with the audience.
On a real level.
On a real level.
But also using these techniques.
But also using the techniques.
To amplify your message.
Amplify, yeah.
You know, think back to that future morgue patients thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not about being morbid.
Right.
Or manipulative.
Maybe it's a reminder.
Maybe it's just like a reminder that our time is precious.
That our time is limited,
And when we're on that stage...
When you're up there...
Yeah.
You got to make it count.
Make it count.
You got to connect.
Yeah.
In a meaningful way.
So instead of seeing the audience as like targets to manipulate...
Not targets.
It's about seeing them as like
fellow travelers on this journey called life.
People who are open to hearing your story.
Open to your story.
Yeah.
Feeling your emotions.
Yeah, sharing in that
experience.
Collective experience.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's much more optimistic.
I think so.
And accurate.
Yeah, it's not about building walls.
No.
It's about building
bridges.
Yeah.
Fostering connection.
Yeah.
Understanding.
Through performance.
Yeah.
You know, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Dickens. Dark tourism.
Ethics of manipulation.
Yeah. Now, this idea of shared human experience.
Yeah. Shared human experience.
All this from, like, one source.
It's amazing what you can...
On Poetry Slam.
Unpack from a single source, right?
It's amazing how...
It is.
A single source on Poetry Slam.
It speaks to the power of art.
Yeah.
How it challenges us.
Yeah.
Makes us think differently.
It makes us think differently.
It connects us. On a deeper level.
Yeah.
That's the power of art.
So where do we go from here?
Well,
what's the takeaway?
That's a great question.
For someone who's listening.
And one that...
Maybe considering dipping their toes...
We'll exploit...
into this world of Poetry Slam.
As we go deeper. Into the practical side of this.
Okay, so after all this talk about Dickens and morgues and emotional manipulation, you might be thinking like, okay, what does this all mean for me?
Yeah, for the aspiring poet.
Right, for me, the poet.
Right.
Should I be like channeling my inner supervillain?
Not necessarily a supervillain.
Okay.
But I think there are valuable insights here.
Okay.
From this dramatic approach.
Like they gave us this toolkit.
Yeah, a toolkit of techniques.
But it's up to us to figure out
how to use them.
How to use them responsibly.
Responsibly and authentically.
Right, authentically, not just like be...
Right, not just be manipulative.
A jerk.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's finding that balance.
Yeah, finding that balance between the craft and
the craft and the sincerity.
Sincerity.
Yeah.
Right, connecting with the audience, but also like...
And respecting their experience.
Respecting their experience.
Yeah, and not just using them as pawns.
It's like they're saying, hey, you've got this powerful instrument.
Right.
Your voice.
Your words, your voice.
Your words. Here's how to wield it.
Wield it, yeah.
With precision.
Precision and impact. And that's where the artistry comes in. Yeah. It's not about manipulating for the sake of it.
Right.
It's about using these techniques to amplify your message.
Okay, so maybe psychological warfare is...
maybe a bit strong.
A little extreme.
A little extreme.
But it does make you think about the power dynamic.
It does. There's a power dynamic there.
You're up on stage.
You're up on stage.
You're holding the audience's attention.
And you've got their attention.
You're guiding their emotions in a way.
It's shaping the experience.
Yeah.
And I think the best slam poets understand that power comes with responsibility. It's about using your platform to uplift, to challenge,
to inspire.
And
you know, it's interesting how this whole conversation started with Dickens and his fascination with the dark side of things.
Right. The darker side of human nature.
And now we're talking about using our words to connect.
Yeah. To connect, to inspire.
To
create something meaningful.
Yeah.
It's interesting how it's come full circle.
It is. It's a testament to...
It speaks to the complexity of art.
The complexity of art.
How it can encompass both darkness and light.
Yeah. Manipulation and authenticity.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's up to each artist to decide how to, like...
Navigate that terrain.
Find
their own path.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, to bring this back to you, the listener.
Yeah.
If you're into Poetry Slam.
Yeah. If you're thinking about diving in.
Remember, it's not just about rhyming words and snapping your fingers.
And more than that.
There's more to it.
It's about finding your voice.
Yeah. Finding your voice, crafting your story. And using these techniques. To make your performance.
To make an impact.
Unforgettable.
Yeah.
But don't forget the heart of it all.
Don't forget the heart.
Right. That genuine connection.
Genuine connection, yeah.
If you're only focused on manipulating the audience,
you're going to miss the opportunity.
You're going to miss out.
To really move them.
On really connecting.
To connect.
Yeah.
And share something real.
So is mastering Poetry Slam about becoming a master manipulator?
Becoming a puppet master?
Or is it about something more?
Or is it about something deeper?
Something more nuanced.
More nuanced that combines
skill
with sincerity.
Impact with
integrity.
Integrity. Yeah, that's the question.
We'll leave that for you to ponder.
We'll leave you with that.
And if you're looking for more guidance on this journey,
Right, if you want to.
The source did mention this book.
Explore these ideas further.
Poetry Master.
Poetry Master.
Poesy Craft in 7.Tagen.
There you go.
Might offer some interesting perspectives.
Yeah, check it out.
All right, that's it for our deep dive.
That's
into the world of Poetry Slam.
Poetry.
We've explored
some
unexpected territory.
Yeah.
We went from Dickens' dark alleys
to the ethics of performance. Who knew it could get so philosophical?
It's amazing where these deep dives take us.
Until next time. Keep those creative sparks flying, and remember a little psychological warfare. We never hurt anyone.
As long as it's done with style.
And a touch of heart.
See you later.